Screencast includes two parts. In the first part, I will elaborate on my teaching context as well as the theories and applications of learner autonomy and multimedia materials, and I will use PowerPoint slides to support my presentation. In the second part, I will describe the features of the website that I have designed. Teaching context. One of the main features of learning English in a foreign language context like Iran is that learners' opportunities to learn, practice, and produce language in the classroom are hugely limited, and obviously there is only so much that learners can learn in classrooms, which are held 4 to 5 times a week for 12 to 18 language learners. However, the use of internet and social media in Iran has considerably increased during the past 5 years and has become normalized. According to a report published by The Guardian in 2016, Iranian officials have confirmed that at least a quarter of the Iranian population use Telegram, that is, an online messaging service. In the meantime, owing to the increasing access to the internet on mobile devices through Wi-Fi, 3G, and more recently 4G technologies, Iranian language learners and teachers are becoming increasingly aware of and interested in the affordances of technology and multimedia for language learning purposes. This being the case, and given the inherent limitations of over-reliance on classroom learning, it is imperative that materials developers design materials which not only are more appealing and engaging, but also promote some level of autonomy and independence in language learners. That is, provide learners with the opportunity to further learn, practice, and produce language outside the classroom. Both of these qualities could be realized in multimedia materials. The target users of my materials are upper intermediate EFL learners in Iran who wish to learn English for communicative purposes. Theories of learner autonomy. It is commonly believed that classroom teaching and learning is most effective when it is combined with independent learning outside the classroom. Benson, 2011. This is where the notion of learner autonomy comes into play. Holek, 1981, cited in Reinders and White, 2016, defines autonomy as the ability to take charge of one's own learning. This is one of the most oft-cited definitions of learner autonomy, and as Little 2007 suggests, Holek's definition refers to the essence of learner autonomy. However, Benson 2011 points out that the concept of learner autonomy is not unidimensional and that it could appear and be discussed under various guises. Benson mentions out-of-class learning, informal learning, self-instructed learning as some of the terms which are often used with autonomy interchangeably, but at the same time, it is important to note that these terminologies could shed light on the various dimensions of the concept of learner autonomy. For instance, based on Benson's discussion, Reinders and White 2016 conceptualized 4 dimensions for autonomy, namely location, formality, pedagogy, and locus of control. In addition to various definitions, different models have been proposed to conceptualize learner autonomy. Most notably, Oxford has presented a systematic model which includes 4 distinct perspectives on autonomy. A technical perspective in which autonomy is viewed as a set of skills and abilities for independent learning. B. A psychological perspective in which autonomy is seen as a combination of characteristics of the individual, including attitudes, ability, learning strategies, and styles. Sociocultural perspective in which autonomy is self-regulation gained through social interaction with a more capable mediating person. And D. Sociocultural perspective in which autonomy is not the primary goal, but serves the primary goal, which is participation in the community of practice. This model is very similar to the one presented by Benson 1997, which contained 3 versions of autonomy, namely technical, psychological, and political, with this latter perspective having to do with allowing learners to have control of their own learning and decide for themselves in the process of language learning Benson, 2006. Despite some differences, both models seem to be highly resourceful for at least two main reasons. Firstly, they both appreciate the multidimensional nature of learner autonomy, and secondly, they both present clear and operationalizable definitions for the subcomponents of autonomy, which will facilitate further research on the concept of autonomy. Regardless of the model that we subscribe to, we should bear in mind that autonomy does not equal independent learning. Rather, it bears more resemblance to supported or scaffolded learning, and as Paul Freeman 2003 argues, a better word to describe autonomy would be interdependence, which refers to learners' ability to work together for mutual benefit and to take shared responsibility for their learning. In fact, the notion of autonomy is completely in line with a well-established trend in language education, namely learner-centeredness. Learner autonomy, applications of theories. In fact, the goal of the line of research and scholarship discussed in the previous section has been to help learners develop useful strategies which enable them to learn independently or in collaboration with others while taking shared responsibility for their success or failure. During the past years, with the advent of portable computers, smartphones, iPads, internet, and online communication, considerable attention has been paid to the contribution of technology-enhanced material to learner autonomy. For example, Hafner and Miller 2016 report on the process of designing and implementing a syllabus for an English for Science and Technology course in Hong Kong. Their main goal has been to promote learner autonomy among students through the use of what they call learner-centered digital video projects, which learners could further share on YouTube and edu blogs. They found that using technology fostered learner autonomy in the course, as learning had not been limited to the classroom. Rather, independent learning outside the classroom had been promoted. Therefore, when it comes to the applications of the above theories, it is clear that technology-enhanced activities and materials hold out promise for fostering autonomy characterized in terms of location, pedagogy, formality, and control. Computer-mediated communication (CMC) is another way in which the theories of autonomy could be applied for language learning and teaching. This could take the form of synchronous or asynchronous CMC. According to Kern, Ver and Washer 2004, CMC offers an ideal medium for students to benefit from interaction since the written nature of the discussion allows greater opportunity to attend to and reflect on the form and content of the communication. However, as far as materials development is concerned, multimedia has even greater potential to realize autonomy and will be described in the next section. Multimedia resources, theories, and applications. According to BT 2010, multimedia refers to the use of several media types including text, images, sound, video, or animations. Blended learning, which necessarily incorporates multimedia materials, is now quite common in the world. In addition, second language acquisition researchers have been involved in theorizing the role of multimedia in L2 learning for a long time now. For example, about 20 years ago, Chappell pointed out that SLA hypotheses need to be taken into account in developing multimedia for L2 learning, and based on 7 established hypotheses, she suggested a set of criteria for developing multimedia, which I have used as guidelines for producing my multimedia material. These include making target features salient in the input enhancement. 2. Input needs to be modified and made comprehensible for learners, input modification. 3. Learners need to have the opportunity to produce language, output, and practice. 4. Learners need to be encouraged and induced to notice errors in their production, noticing and awareness-raising activities. 5. Learners need to be encouraged to self-correct their errors, modify output and uptake. And 6. Learners need to have ample opportunities for interaction and negotiation of meaning. More recently, Chappell 2009 has discussed the relevance of SLA theories to technology-enhanced language learning and has argued that multimedia materials could be relevant and justified with reference to a wide range of theories, that is, interaction, input processing, skill acquisition, conversation analysis, etc. Multimedia is enormously useful in supporting autonomous language learning. This is mainly because when a learner is working with multimedia materials, there are usually hypertext and links to other materials, like online dictionaries, videos on YouTube, websites which provide grammatical explanations or examples, etc., which could help them proceed with the material without heavily relying on their peers or teachers. There are various ways in which multimedia could be used, but one of the most interesting and widely used ways is companion websites which provide ample free and complementary materials for learners to study outside the classroom. Out of classroom learning website. In this section, I will describe different parts of the website that I have designed and will show how it materializes the principles and theories that I have discussed above. The first thing to mention about the website is its accessibility. In order for us to promote the use of multimedia material and in turn autonomous language learning, we need to make sure that learners can easily access our material. In fact, they can even download the audio and reading material in their smartphones and listen to them in different places. Therefore, I have used Weebly Website Builder as my platform, which helps building websites that could be accessed on computers as well as on smartphones. My website aims to help learners both practice what they have learned in a classroom and learn new materials. A wide range of materials and modes of presentation have been used, like images, reading material, listening material, and scripts for listening materials. The website materials start with a speaking practice, which is informed by research on repetition and speaking fluency conducted by Martin Beckett and other researchers. This is supposed to encourage learners to repeat the same content and audio record their best performance and then send it to the teacher. Research shows that task repetition promotes second language fluency, and this part of the material is in line with that research literature. In addition, when learners audio record themselves and then listen to their own performance, they can find some of the mistakes that they have made and will attempt to correct them in their second performance. This again is in line with one of the principles mentioned above, that is encouraging learners to self-correct themselves. Part 2 deals with vocabulary in an integrated way. That is to say, learners will first listen to a TED video in which they will encounter a number of new vocabulary items. They will then see those words on the left side of the website. In addition, the use of hyperlink feature is very prominent on my website. That is to say, by clicking on new words, learners will be directed to an online dictionary where they will see both the definition and the example for those vocabulary items. This is the case both in the vocabulary section and in the reading comprehension part. One of the main principles which have guided the development of this website has been input enhancement and input flood techniques, such that new words have been highlighted and hyperlinked and have been presented in different modes, like visual and auditory. The questions that follow parts 3, 5, and 6 will help consolidating what learners have learned. However, a very interesting feature of the website is that learners will have a chance to insert the responses into the blog page of the website and that other learners and the teacher can comment on their responses makes the website quite interactive and engaging. This again has been hyperlinked where necessary, which will facilitate navigation across the website. The fact that learners and the teacher comment on each other's comments and responses would take the form of an asynchronous CMC elaborated on above and will promote interaction opportunities among learners and the teacher. The central theme of the material content is storytelling, and as it can be seen on the website, learners will be presented and exposed to different vocabulary, listening, reading comprehension, grammar points, and adjective compounds with regard to storytelling. In addition, the tasks that learners have been asked to do pertain to storytelling. Additionally, the materials have been presented in an integrated way, that is to say, different knowledge components and skills have not been separated and discussed in isolation. For example, in part 6, grammatical points have been presented, but learners have been asked to work with part of the script of the listening comprehension material and consolidate their understanding of the grammar points.